Hello and welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to be talking about air filters and changing air filters. So this is the main engine air filter, but you might not know there is also a second air filter on the van. So stick around if you want to know where it is and how to change both of these. Right, so before we get started, I'll just let you know what this van is. So this is a 2016 VW T6 Transporter. Now it was 150 horsepower diesel, so this has got the Euro 5 engine, so it's got AdBlue. If you haven't checked out any of the other videos about this van, go and check them out on the channel now. They'll be linked in the description down below. Right, first up, we're going to get into down here to where the main engine air filter is and get cracking to get it replaced. Right, let's get cracking with getting the air filter housing off the air box. Now, first up, we are going to need to remove this connector on the airflow meter. Now, it's difficult to see, but that little grey tab on the back there just needs lifted up, and then that usually releases the connector. Now, and then it just pops off like that. And as you can see there, that's the little connector. So I'll push it. I don't know if let's push it back in with it not connected. Yeah, that's it there when it's back in. So obviously it doesn't pop off accidentally, but you basically just need that to pull up like that, and then that'll allow you to push the tab and get the connector off. Right, the next up is going to be this Jubilee clip. You just need either a 7mm socket or a screwdriver like this. We're just going to slacken that off. Like so. And then that we'll give this pipe a wiggle, and then that should just pop back there out of the way. Something like that. Now also on the airbox, you can see down there, there's a clip. There's one clip there, and there's also one down the back of there as well. So we need them clips off. And that is what airbox looks. So you just lift it up from that end, wiggle it up, and then wiggle the whole thing out like so. And that is the airbox top off. So we'll just stick that to one side, have a look into our airflow meter. It's all nice and clean on that side because that is the filtered side, so that wants to be nice and clean in there. Stick that to one side, and there is the old air filter. Now obviously this one, you can see there's a little bit of, you know, bits of stuff in there, but generally that is pretty clean. But that has only been in 12 months and has probably done about 3,000–4,000 miles, to be honest. So in all honesty, that's all right, but for the cost of these, we may as well just change it anyway. Now I'll just give you a look in here. So this is what it looks like with the top off and the filter removed. So fairly clean. Obviously there's a little bit, if there is anything in here, you know, there's a little bit of debris there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my little hoover shop vac and just give that a little hoover out in there. Almost forgot to mention that this it's a baffle, I suppose you would call it, does come out as well. So if there is a lot of muck in the bottom of there, you can take it out. Now it just it's difficult to do this with one hand, but you just kind of pop it out. Makes it a bit easier with my hands, but yeah, just give it a wiggle, take note of the orientation of it, and we can get that out of the way. You can see on here there's not a great lot of stuff in there, but there's a couple of little bits and pieces, so we shall give that a clean out. And we'll get this dropped back in. And now we've just got to pop the new air filter in and then put everything back together. Now, just looking at it actually, the new air filter has got a bit of extra filtration on it. Now, it's a different make to the one that came out, but dimension-wise, it looks exactly the same. It's just got this bit extra foam filtration on, but hey, it was the one listed for this van, so we shall put it in. So that just drops in like that. Make sure it's sitting okay. Like so. Next thing is putting the airbox top back on. So grab that now. So here it is back. So basically what we want to do is this end goes in first and hooks in. So we'll go and do that. Get this roughly back in position first. So I'll just drop that down so we're roughly in position, and that is actually already just hooked in. So as you can see down there, the little hooks hook in to the bottom part of the airbox, and then as long as it is sitting nice like it is there, so you can see that bit there where the clip attaches to is nice and aligned, everything feels okay. So that little bit is aligned there, so should be able to just put our clip on and then pull it down. That is clipped in no problem, and then do the same with the clip on the back. I know it's going to be a bit difficult to see, but yep, that's that one clipped in as well. So that is it, nice and secure. Filter is all in properly. If there's anything not sitting right, you probably won't get them clips to clip back in, but that is all back in situ as it should be. So now we're just going to pop the pipe back on here. So that just slides back on as easy as that, and make sure our Jubilee clip is in the right place. Now this has got a little lug on the pipe, so you can get your Jubilee clip in the correct orientation. And then we're just going to give that a nip back up. Right. Now we're just going to pop that connector back on and make sure you get it the right way. It should click, and then push the little tab in that we looked at earlier, and that is it secured. And that is the engine air filter replacement complete. Right, so next up is this air filter. Now this air filter is actually a pollen filter, a cabin air filter. Now it's up basically in here. Now it's a little bit more difficult to get at. There's a few little things you need to take to bits, but it's fairly straightforward, to be honest. It's all just screws and that sort of thing. So I'll show you how to get it out. But I want to just tell you a little story about this and why I always check these. So on a previous vehicle I had, It was getting serviced by a garage consistently, so once a year, but then I started doing the work myself on it, and I pulled this filter out of that said vehicle, and it actually had a date stamp on it, and it was the vehicle was about 6 years old at the time, and it had the original pollen filter in that was put in from new. So for what it takes to change this or to get a look at it, it's certainly something I think you should have a look at yourself, because this, if you've got aircon on your vehicle, these tend to trap bad smells, so you do want to change it fairly frequently. And for what these cost, if you do it yourself, it's definitely a worthwhile exercise. So right, I'll show you what you need to do to change this now. Right, what we're going to start off doing is taking the actual glove box out, because that just gives it a bit more access, because I don't think you can get the filter actually out just by taking the panel off underneath, if I remember rightly. So basically there is 3 screws along the bottom, which are Torx bits, so 1, 2, and then 3. And if we open the glove box, again, there is another 1, 2, 3, 4 along the top there as well. So we'll take the bottom ones out first. Right, that is the bottom 3 bolts out. Now what we'll just do is, I think this panel here, it hooks in at the back, but if we just get a hold of it at the front and just pull it down, it's just got little clips holding it in. Pop that down and then that just pulls out. And then I can actually show you where this filter lives. So it's up, how well that's coming out on camera, but it's up in this little plastic panel needs to come off, and it goes up inside there. But you'll notice this end here is covered by part of the glove box. Right, we'll take these top screws out now. If you've got anything heavy in the glove box, take that out first. Oh, wait a minute. I think we might need this end panel off as well. Right, I'll just stick one of them screws back in to support it for now. See, not everything always goes to plan. I think we're going to need to take this side panel here off. Right, so just pop that off at the bottom, and that just wiggles out. And yeah, maybe you wouldn't have needed that off, but just a little hook around there. Right, we'll take this last screw out again. And then there we go. Glove box completely out. And then this is what you're looking at from this angle. So this is all your this is the kind of heater box assembly, or part of it at least, for your carb fans, that sort of thing. So we want to be into here. So that's the end bit. And then, like I say, this plastic section here needs to come out. Right, so I think what I'll do is I'll take the cover off the bottom to expose the filter, and then show you what the kind of difficulty we're running into, I suppose. So like I say, that is the panel that needs to come off. Now there's one little screw at that end, which you need a 5.5mm socket. So I'll just see if I can do this one-handed. Put that in there, and then screw out, and then if you look at this end, you can see that's moving, so that again just hooks on. So what we need to do is get it to go past and then push through like that, and then it drops out. Now you'll notice it's got this sponge gasket, so you need to make sure that stays, and then keep your little screw in a safe place. And there is the filter up in there. Now take note of the direction of the airflow. So the airflow is going towards the steering wheel, we'll say. Right, I'll see if I can get this to pull out. I might need to get my screwdriver in. Now this is where I can't quite remember if you can get this to come. Right, that's it, starting to come out. Now obviously VW design here, this panel kind of blocks the access a little bit. You can see in there, but we'll see if we can wangle it out somehow. So there's a little bit of play in this. We'll see if we can kind of just pull it down and pop it. Right, just about come out okay. Right, so there we are. So it's not really dirty by any means. I mean, well, no, it is. It should be blue, you can see, actually. Yeah. It's dirtier than what I was expecting it to be honest. But there you go. So it is worthwhile. Now, obviously, as usual, compare it against your new one and make sure it's the right size before you try and put it in and then realize it doesn't fit. But that all looks good. What we will do is, though, we will have another check up in here and just see if there's any debris to clean out. To be fair with these ones, I think it normally falls out when you take the filter out. As you can see, there's a few little bits of leaves and bugs have dropped onto the floor there. Right, I think we'll just try and get the new one in now. Right, so we said airflow towards the steering wheel. So when that goes in like that from the bottom, I mean, seeing the steering wheel, it's sort of that way. But we've just got to try and get this in the best we can. We might have to bend it a little bit to get it started and in. Get that there. There we go. Actually went back in not too bad. And then my airflow is that way, which is the way the last one came out. And then it's a case of the bit we took out with our foam gasket. Again, we just need to work that in, get this hooked over this end, which can be a little bit fiddly, but it's not too bad. And then again, if that sponge gasket is sitting where it should be, it should all line up and the screw will go in without any major issues. There you go, that's it started. I'll get that screwed up. Let's give it a little nip. And that is the new one installed. Now, you possibly, if you were familiar with doing this and you could, you knew what the situation was at this end, you could possibly get away with not taking the glove box out. But to be honest, for the sake of a few screws and popping that little panel off at the end nearest the door, it's probably worth doing if you've never done it before, just so you can obviously see what you're doing a little bit better. But we'll get the glove box back in now, which is a pretty standard, straightforward job. It's a reversal of what we did. And we're taking it off. So just grab it. And it basically ow, don't nip in my fingers. Just hooks in at the bottom, and then you can kind of hold it and then get a couple of screws in. I didn't mention it, these are Torx bits you need for these screws. I didn't mention it, these are Torx bits for these screws, and they are a T20. So I'll wing the rest of these screws in, all pretty straightforward. That's the 3 bottom ones in, and then this, the right way around, just hooks in at the back on here, and then it's just some little clips on the front that push up and clip in, so it's hook in at the back and push up. So that's it, the 2 hooks on the back, and then again, if it's in far enough, the little clips should line up nice and easy. So that is that bit done. And then this panel at this end, just go into, again, this just clips in. Just make sure that bit is on there, and then this should just line up like that, and then clip into place. And that is the pollen filter changed. Well, that wraps up this weekend's maintenance on the van. So we've changed both the engine air filter and the pollen filter, which, to be honest, they could have probably gone a bit longer or got another year out of them. But in all honesty, these 2 filters, which are ordered from Opie Oils, which I do get most of my filters and oils for the vehicles from Opie, less than 30 quid for these 2 filters delivered, and it took about half an hour to do both of these filters. So a worthwhile task all round, I think. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please consider doing so and go and check out some of the other transporter videos. They'll be linked on the screen now and also down below in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.